Okay, we're going to read Prince of Central Park. It's a very confusing title. I don't know what I'm about to read. Prince of Central Park. Well, it's a park. There is a photo. I guess this is it. Why would they call it a prince? Okay, now that I have questions in my head, I'm going to start. New York City is the largest city in the United States. It has many tall buildings. In the middle of the city, surrounded by these buildings, is Central Park, which is the photo right here. Okay? Where is it? In New York City. An unlikely habitat. I'm going to change my subtitle to a question. Why? So I can prepare my mind to the information that it had. Why is it an unlikely habitat? Why makes it an unlikely habitat? Central Park has walking trails and bike paths that went around ponds and trees. When people want to enjoy the outdoors, they come to this wildlife refuge. They can watch many birds and other animals that live there. Since 1991, the park has also been a great spot to observe special bird, a red-tailed hawk. Oh my God, do you know what a hawk is? If you don't know, you can find it in the dictionary. But the hawks are amazing. So it's an unlikely habitat for whom? For the red-tailed hawk. It's a hawk that has a red tail. And I have the photo, and that's Central Park, and it says Central Park covers 843 acres. It's immense, which is the size of 800 football fields. Oh my God! And it's in the heart of New York. Okay, this is called the caption. Remember, text features. This is informational. Number 3, bird watchers named the male hawk pale male because of his light colored feathers. So pale means light. Okay, like I like green or I like red. It's not. It's a shadow. Yeah. It is not common for these migrating birds to make their home in New York City. Once people noticed the hawk, they started bringing chairs and binoculars so that they could get a closer look at him. They hoped that he would stay in the area. Oh, I wonder if he did stay. Number 4, Central Park turned out to be a good place for pale male. There was plenty of food around. The observers were delighted when pale male found a mate. Soon everyone knew her as Lola. Oh, that's a girlfriend. That's so cute. An unusual place to raise youngsters. Oh, they had babies. Okay, let's see. 5. When Lola first arrived, the bird watchers were excited. They watched pale male catch the attention of the lovely female bird. Would the two hawks be able to build a nest and raise their young? They surely did, but not in a tree. The pair built their nest on the side of an apartment building that bordered the park. The hawks had quite a view from 12 stories high. I'm going to underline this because it's important. Okay, this paragraph is talking about where they built their nest. That's the main idea. 6. More people began to watch as the time came for Lola to lay eggs. When the nest finally held some eggs, people waited to see whether the eggs will hatch. Then tiny baby hawks began to peek their fuzzy heads above the nest, and the crowd cheered. Oh, they're so happy. I'm going to write a happy face. They had babies. And this is the photo. Maybe they will ask me, why did the author include the photo? Because that's the nest. Look, and that's the hawk. Pale male's nest is high above a street near Central Park. Oh. Okay, 7. The bird watchers then prepared for the next event. It was time for the new babies to learn to fly. Pale male began flying near the nest with something tasty in his beak. He hoped to lure the babies. And they're going to ask me for this word. I can use the dictionary to find out. But I can replace it for a word that I know. If he had food in his beak and he was flying by the babies, so he was trying to make them jump and, start flying. So he hoped to attract the babies to the edge of the nest, or make the babies go to the edge of the nest. Attract. Okay. Where he was waiting to reward them. So that was what he was doing. He was attracting. He was making them to step to the edge and reward them. What a great way for the young birds to learn to trust in their ability to fly. That's the reason why. Challenges for the hawks. Life in the city can be difficult for the hawks, of course, because it's a city, it's not the mountains. There was a group of crows, oh yeah, that were not happy to see a hawk in their neighborhood. I wonder if hawks eat crows. I don't know. To them, the hawk was an enemy. Well, this explains it. It was an enemy. He will be competing for their food, so they wanted to chase Pale Mail away. Oh my God, they gunked on him. Let's see, number 9. A few people living in the apartment building also wanted Pale Mail and his family to leave. They didn't want a messy nest attached to their building. People had to duck or step over the droppings that Pale Mail and Lola left. And this is the reason why they didn't like them there. Yes. Some people wanted the nest to be moved. Okay. So that was where the challenges. Remember, I changed this into a question. What were the challenges for the hawks? Well, the enemies, the crows, and people didn't want them there. So those were the challenges. And as you can see, by answering the question, I am summarizing it in my head. I'm summarizing that section. Solving one problem. How did they solve the problem? I changed that into a question. How did they solve the problem? 10. When the owners of the building took the bird's nest down, oh, they did take it down. The fans of Pale Mail and Lola wanted to help the hawks. They asked that the birds be allowed to rebuild their nest on the side of the apartment building. What? From one side to the other? It's a good thing that the owners agreed, because Pale Mail had already begun to reconstruct the nest in the exact same spot. I don't understand. Okay, so let me read it again. I'm confused. When the owners of the building, oh, okay, wait. They want people that were living in the building didn't want the nest there. But the people that were living in the building are not the owners of the building. That's the difference. Okay, so the owners were the one like, no, let them be there. Now I understand. Let me read it again. When the owners of the building took the bird's nest down, the fans, okay, so the owners took it down, but the fans were against it, okay? They asked the birds to be allowed to rebuild their nest instead of the apartment building. It was a good thing that the owners agreed, because Pale Mail had already begun to reconstruct the nest in the exact same spot. Now I understand. So people living there didn't like it. The owners took it down to please the people living in the building, but then lots of fans were against it, and the owners agreed to let them be there. I'm summarizing in my head because I had quite a problem. I mean, I was struggling a little bit to understand it and picture it in my head. So I needed to reread and think about it and then tell it to myself, like summarize it in my head. Okay, and then it says, so the owners of the building had a cradle built below the nest to catch any falling objects. Oh, that's a very good idea. It's like having a basket to catch all the droppings. Okay? It will keep the people who live there safe and free from messy sidewalks. That's smart. Number 11. As of 2010, it has been 19 years since Pale Mail was first spotted in Central Park. Wow. He and Lola are still seen around the area, and they still have their nest in the same building. Pale Mail swoops and dives. He puts on a grand show for their loyal friends who continue to watch him from below. Lions may rule the grasslands, but Pale Mail is truly Prince of Central Park. That's why it was about him. I'm going to underline it. So he was the Prince of Central Park. He's been living there forever. Okay, let's move on to the questions. And we have 18. Why does the author include information in paragraph 1? Basically is, what is paragraph 1 about? Which one of these 4 gives me the author's purpose on paragraph 1? But I need to read the paragraph 1. Remember, this is not a memory test. It's reading with thinking. So let me move on. Let me move to paragraph 1. Where is my paragraph 1? Oh, it's right here. Yay, okay. Let me move all of these papers. Okay, so it says paragraph 1. New York City is the largest city in the United States. It has many tall buildings. In the middle of the city, surrounded by these buildings, is Central Park. Why do I need to know this? To define an unfamiliar word. Are they defining an unfamiliar word in there? No. So this was totally wrong. To suggest a place to visit. Are they trying to convince me to visit New York City, or are they just telling me where it is? They're just telling me where New York City is. New York City, the largest city in the United States, and in surrounded by the buildings, there is in the middle of it Central Park. They just want me to know where Central Park is. To suggest a place to visit? No, they're not trying to convince me. Come visit Central Park. It's super fun. No. To present a problem. Can you read a problem in there? It doesn't give any problems. It's just telling you where Central Park is. Nope. To describe where the events occurred. This is good. Is it describing? Yes, it says tall buildings, surrounded, larger city. These are descriptive words. In the middle of the city. Okay, and where the events occurred? Yes, because the story is called The Prince of what? Central Park. So this is my correct answer. Next question. The selection piece of Central Park is mostly about, I need to go back and reread that selection. Oh, the selection means the whole story. What is the whole story about? What is Prince of Central Park? I'm going to think about the words who did what. But this is about the whole thing, okay? So who? It's the hawk, right? It's the hawk. What did he do? He made his nest and his home and his family in Central Park. So what is it mostly about? Now that I know and I have an idea in my head, I can read the choices. A, where people go to see red-tailed hawks. Okay, this is a clue. I think it's just only one. There are not many. It's just the red-tailed hawk and Lola, remember? I'm gonna put like a period dot in there. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. And let me read letter B. How red-tailed hawks care for their babies. No, this is totally wrong. They didn't explain that. C. What happens when two hawks make a nest near Central Park? Not necessarily. Is it about what happens? Why some people did not want hawks to live near Central Park. Let me think about it. Why some people did not want. They did say it, but they didn't get rid of them. So let me think again. I don't think this is correct, because that is not the summary of the story. My summary has to do with the hawk and the nest. So what happens when two hawks make a nest near Central Park? That sounds good, right? I think so. This is my best choice. Where people go to see, they don't go to see red-tailed hawks to Central Park because it's not their natural habitat, remember? So this cannot be. My only choice is this. What happens when two hawks make a nest? What happened? It explains that. So it has the hawk and make a nest in Central Park. Those are my keywords that I was thinking about. Letter C is my correct answer. Question 20. Look at the diagram below. Cause and effect. I'm going to think about cause is why happened. Why something happened. So I'm going to write down the cause is why. Why? Why is the baby crying? That's a cause. And the effect. What happened? The baby cried, for example. Okay. What happened here? So why and what happened? Which sentence best completes the diagram? I haven't read it. I need to read it. Otherwise, I cannot understand. People who lived in the apartment building complained about the hawk's nest. Why? Because of the droppings, remember? If you don't remember, you can always go back and check the section what it said about the droppings. Solving the problem. No, challenges is right here. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to use my red so you can see. It says here, a few people living in the apartment building also wanted Pale Mill and his family to leave. They didn't want a messy nest attached to the building. And I had already underlined the reason why. Because people had a duck or step over the droppings. So the droppings was the main problem, right? So why did they want them out? Because of the droppings. Now that I know, I can read my choices. The building's owners removed the nest. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the reason why. And what happened? The building's owners removed the nest. You know what? It says right here how they solved the problem. When the owners of the building took the bird's nest down, that's what happened. They took the bird's nest down. That's what they did. Okay? So this is reasonable. People who live in the apartment building complain about the nest, so the owners removed the nest. This one sounds good. Okay? Let me continue with the next one. Bird watchers took pictures. Nah, that was super wrong. No one was taking, they were taking pictures, but not because of that. People living in the apartment building moved to another location. No, they didn't move out. Bird watchers met with building owners to discuss a plan. They didn't. This is not even in the passage. Oh, I already crossed out 3. So what was my right answer? This is my right answer. The building's owners removed the nest. Where is my evidence? Right here. When the owners of the building took the bird's nest down because they were complaining. Can you see? It's between paragraphs 9 and 10. Okay, question 21. In paragraph 7, the word lure means, what am I going to do? What are my strategies? I have to copy the sentence. Paragraph 7. Where's my paragraph 7? Oops. Let me move this. My paragraph 7 has to be, what is this? This is 3, no 3, no. Is this 7? Yay, this is paragraph 7. Okay. So I have lure. It says, Pale Male began flying near the nest with something tasty in his beak. He hoped to lure the babies to the edge of the nest. So I'm going to copy. He hoped to lure the babies. Let me try, but babies. I'm writing on my computer, so it's hard. Lure the babies to the edge of the nest. Okay. My strategy is right here. For these kinds of questions, take the dictionary, look for the word, and copy the sentence because words have more than one meaning. So you need to check the context, and the sentence gives you the context. I remember that I wrote down one word. I said attract. Remember? That's what I wrote down. Attract. Is this spelled correctly? Attract. No. Attract. In paragraph 7, the word lure means to, what do? Plug it in. Rush the babies to the edge of the nest. Could be tempt the babies to the edge of the nest. If you don't know the meaning of this word, grab your dictionary. When you say, oh, that is tempting, it's a temptation, it's something that you're very curious to try, that is tempting. So this one sounds even better. Swing the babies. No, he's not swinging the babies. Pushing the babies to the edge of the nest. No, he's not pushing the babies. So my best choice will be lure means to tempt the babies to the edge of the nest. And let me correct this spelling is wrong. I don't want you to learn something incorrectly. The word that I was trying to spell is this one, attract, okay? That's the correct spelling, not this one right here. Question 22. Which section explains why Paid Mail was permitted to rebuild his nest on the side of the apartment building? Okay, so I'm going to underline the keywords. Why he was permitted to rebuild the nest. And they want the section. There is no other way to find out but to go back. So when he rebuilt the nest, so number 7, let me move this right here. And it has to be solving the owners how to, oh, okay. Here we go. In solving the problem, let me read paragraph 10 again. When the owners of the building took the bird's nest down, the fans of Paid Mail and Lola wanted to help the hawks. They asked that the birds be allowed to rebuild the nest, and that's my key word. So rebuild their nest on the side of the apartment building, and the owners agreed. So the fans wanted to help the hawks. Perfect. So this is why I have to go back, because I have there's no need for me to memorize everything as long as I know how to go back and find the clues. In what section did we find the clues? Solving one problem. So where is solving one problem? I don't even need to read the other choices. I'm 100% sure it's letter J. Question 23. Based on the selection, what is unusual about the hawk's nest? Unusual about the nest? That it's in a building and not a tree? That's the only thing that I can think about. Unusual means different. Okay? Different from other hawks. Well, it's in a building in the middle of the city. That's the only thing that I can think about. Let me check my choices. The materials used, no. Because they had a photo and it was just regular twigs and branches and leaves, no. The place the birds chose. Okay, the place, it's interesting because it's a building in the middle of that city and not a tree. The size, no, it's nothing spectacular about the size. I didn't even mention that. The number of eggs, no, they didn't mention the number of eggs. Oh, this one was easy. The place. And my favorite question, because it always comes in the test, is the summary. Okay, remember, it must have beginning, middle, and end, and no details. So how do I do that when the passage is informational? Well, instead of beginning, middle, end, which is kind of accurate, you should have an important idea from every section of the selection. Every subtitle must be present in there, okay? So let's see. A hawk named Pale Mail and his mate built a nest near Central Park. This is okay. Before long, they were raising baby hawks in their nest. Okay. Some people had a problem with the hawks and wanted the family of birds to find a new home. Okay, it doesn't have an ending. It doesn't say that they let him rebuild the nest on the side of the building and they have been living happily ever after for the last 20 years. Right? That was the last section. So this one doesn't have an ending. Okay? So this one cannot be because it doesn't have an ending. Let's try letter G. People were happy when a hawk chose to make his home in a city where hawks are not commonly seen. This sounds like details, but it's a beginning. Some residents living near Central Park were upset when the hawk and his mate built a nest in their building. Okay. Finally, New Yorkers found a solution that worked for humans and hawks. Well, which one was it? It doesn't say. What solution did they have? If I am retelling this article to someone, which is a summary, I'm retelling it to someone that hasn't read it, he will be, or this person will be like, okay, what did they do? Right? So it doesn't have an ending. Letter H. Some people in New York City were upset about a hawk family that lived near them. Wait, what about the beginning? After they complained, building owners tried to make the hawks move away from Central Park, but the hawks rebuilt a nest in the same place. No, this doesn't have a beginning, and it doesn't have an ending. J. A hawk named Pale Male found a mate and built a nest near Central Park. Beginning. Good. Soon, the hawks had a family. Yes, the babies. The bird watchers in the area were thrilled to have a hawk family to observe. Yes, that's true. They cheered while viewing the hawks and wanted to help them stay. Okay. Okay. Is this complete? No, right? This is not complete. Okay, this will happen to you sometimes, where you cannot find the correct one because you think there's something wrong with all of them, just like I did. What do I have to do? So I need to go back and reread. I said this one doesn't have a H doesn't have a beginning and doesn't have an ending. So I'm gonna cross this out. Okay, I need to cross one out, one that I'm sure it is not. So I have three choices. This one right here has details. Okay, I'm going to show you what the details are. Soon, here. The bird watchers in the area were told to have a hawk family to observe. Do I have to tell that to a person that hasn't read the article? This is a detail. They cheered while viewing the hawks and wanted to help them stay. Do I need to know that they were cheering? Okay, so this one is totally wrong, correct? So I'm going to cross this out. I have narrowed it down to letter F of letter G, and I have to read them again because I'm thinking that both of them are missing the ending, and I was wrong, so I need to go back and do it again. A hawk named Pale Male and his mate built a nest near Central Park. Yes. Before long, they were raising baby hawks in their nest. Yes. Some people had a problem with the hawks and wanted the family of birds to find a new home. There is no ending. Certainly there is not. So it doesn't say what happened. I'm going to cross this out. I'm going to read letter G. People were happy when a hawk chose to make his home in a city where hawks are not commonly seen. Some residents living near Central Park were upset when the hawk and his mate built a nest in their building. All of this is true, and it has beginning and middle. This is the word that I didn't pay attention to. What is that word? Finally. Finally, New Yorkers found a solution that worked for humans and hawks. And I can infer that they let them live there. So my best answer will be this one right here. Okay, it does. I didn't think it had an ending, but it actually does. Okay, letter G is my answer. And my last question. After the hawks revealed their nest, fewer people complained, most likely because they found a solution. Remember, I don't need to go back. I remember that I drew something like this, like the basket that catches all the droppings, remember? Okay, now that I have an idea in my head, I'm going to read the choices. The sidewalk below the nest stayed clean. Yes, it did. Because of this. Let's see. They realized that the hawks were not going to leave. No, this is wrong. They were tired of explaining their concerns to others. No, they were not. The nest was not as large as the first. No, no one said anything about not being as large as the first one they had built. So the sidewalk below the nest stayed clean because they they placed like a basket underneath to catch all the droppings. And if you don't remember, we can go back here. So the owners, it says right here, so the owners of the building had a cradle built below the nest to catch any falling objects, droppings included. Okay, good job.